Hello, I'm Harry Riley. This is a prologue to my forthcoming mystery thriller novel, available in December, called Sins of the Father. The Haunted Life of Dr. James Parker. This tale concerns the lives of two young men whose paths were doomed to clash, even before they were born, with devastating results for all concerned. It is set in a small village in Northumberland, a village once considered to be the most dangerous place in England. Now it is only the eerie call of the curlews and oyster catchers circling high above the river that pleasantly disturbs the clean air and tranquillity. Nestling in a valley on the banks of a famous fishing river, the River Tweed in the Scottish borders, it is incidentally the village where I once owned a small cottage. I've simply made a few fictional additions, such as a village pond and a Wesleyan chapel to aid the storyline, and changed the name of the village lightly, calling it Norbridge. The ruined castle, where John de Balliol, Lord of Barnard Castle, was Judge King of Scotland, swearing fealty to the English King Edward. The ancient church still bearing the scars of Cromwell's musket balls on its outer walls, and where Robert the Bruce once sheltered. And the school in the village really do exist, as does the old stone bridge across the Tweed, separating England from Scotland. My story opens just after the end of the Second World War and progresses into the 1960s, to a Britain still advocating the hangman's rope for the most willful acts of murder. For those who do not know this northerly clime, it is a land where the smallest whisper of wind, blowing quietly over the hills and glens, awakens the sleeping ghosts of history, and where the mighty clash of battle from two ancient armies still rings loud and clear. Ruined castles spring up abundantly around almost every bend in the road, and large fortified stone houses with high towers bear witness to the protection once needed from the border reivers, those lawless bands of raiders who cross the borders mounted on swift horses to hack and wreck and rob and plunder, showing no mercy to man or beast. It is a special land that has produced and inspired some of the world's most gifted writers, like Sir Walter Scott with his classic Marmion, James Hogg, their Trix Shepherd, with his many plays, poems and novels, John Buchan, he of the 39 Steps, and latterly Nigel Tranter, with his brilliantly researched historical adventure novels, plus artists such as L.S. Lowry, with his iconic paintings of Berwick-upon-Tweed, and the poet, the national bard of Scotland, Robbie Burns, who upon crossing the bridge at Coldstream in 1787 alighted from his horse and recited part of the Cotter's Tale before walking over to the English side. The bridge still bears a plaque commemorating his visit. I've chosen the beautiful Coldstream Bridge between England and Scotland for the cover of my novel, as it spans the winding banks of the Silver River Tweed and is evocative of that fabled land, now thankfully at peace with itself after centuries of violent turmoil. In my story, Billy Turpin is a big strong orphan, with a secret ache that sits on his shoulders like an invisible monster, screaming revenge into his tortured brain. By a stroke of good fortune and evil cunning, he acquires great wealth and builds a successful business empire. A long way from home and in a very bad place, the unadventurous James Parker tries to forget his troubles as he conveys the love of his own to Carl Brandon, his new American friend in adversity. Such is James Parker's passion for the fresh clean air and the small friendly communities of his native land, that the sad and lonely American from the Bronx listens fascinated and becomes filled with the desire to see it all for himself, if only, with his failing health, he could survive the cruel treachery of the African jungle. I put James Parker, my main character, into life-threatening situations. I also bring in a subplot or two to create mischief and muddy the water. There is Billy Turpin, a powerful friend, who is really a vicious enemy burning up with hate, and eventually there is the underlying suggestion of strange spiritual activity going on in the background. Dr. James Parker has often suffered from depression, and at times of extreme stress has been known to hallucinate. It is at these times that his mind seeks the comfort of the supernatural and conjures up visions of lost friends and family, and in particular of Rosie, his beloved younger sister. They say every story needs a hero, but James Parker is not cast in the heroic mould, and if there is a hero to my story, it has to be the awesome historical countryside of Northumberland and the Scottish borders, and in particular the silver winding River Tweed.